be honest, the theme is religion. So, so let's talk about my take on religion. First, I don't like the rules. I got a problem with the rules. You know, there's one rule that says if you see a woman and lust after her, you have already committed a sin. That's the rule, right? You might as well go ahead and fuck it in. Come on, I ain't going to hell for just looking. I'm hitting that. That's bullshit. And then they mentioned earlier that you're not supposed to masturbate. And I don't know. I choke my dick like I'm trying to get information from it. You know? It's like interrogation. Like, what you doing with the money? You know, I'm trying to find out things. I went too far one time and started waterboarding. That wasn't good. If you think about it though, one of the rules in religion makes really good sense is Adam and Eve. When you think about it, Adam and Eve, we all came from those two people, Adam and Eve, which means that every relationship after Adam and Eve is an incestuous relationship. Because if it was just Adam and Eve, and all the kids had kids, so now there's incest going on. Which is why we don't use 10% of our brains, because we're all the retarded kids of Adam and Eve. Now it makes sense, doesn't it? I think one of our biggest problems is we don't have consideration for each other nowadays. You know, we used to have consideration. We don't have it anymore. Like my wife was walking down the street, and some teenagers just started hollering out some profanities at her. You know, hey, old woman in the green shirt, just hollering out profanities, and they had no consideration for how she would feel. What's more important, they had no consideration how she would act, because she's a teacher. And unlike the rest of us, she has no problem approaching teenagers. So she walked up to her, hey, come here. And they were all scared. It was 5 of them, 2 on bikes, 2 on skateboards, and 1 on foot. And she started admonishing them about how you're supposed to respect your elders, how you're supposed to treat people and talk to people right here. That's what she told me. That's what I heard. What I saw was different, because my son said, Daddy, something's going on down the street. I hear Mommy's voice. So I threw on my shirt and I ran down the street. This is what I saw. Her admonishing 5 teenagers. Everyone had their head down. And when I walked up, the first thing I heard was, if you think you handle me, this is my husband. That's what I walked into. And I looked around, it's just teenagers. And I said, I don't know why you pointing me out. You're the one with the military background and the sniper certification. I'm scared of you. No, it's happened to a lot in my life when I've come into situations where I should help, but I really shouldn't help because my help is not needed, and I have to consider the consequences. Like my sister, I was in 7th grade. I was in 8th grade. My sister was in 7th. We were in this special class. We had 7 and 8 together. And my sister got into a fight, and this guy threw a book at her, and that's when it got physical. Now I don't know what happened. I don't know what she said to him, what he said to her, but I saw a book go across the table and hit my sister. She jumped up with a chair, threw the chair across the table, hopped over there, slid on the side, grabbed him by his throat, started hitting him in his face, pulled him to the window, grabbed his legs, and tried to get him out the window. The gym teacher jumped in and he grabbed my sister and she turned around and swung on him. I don't know if she hit him or not, I don't know. But she did swing on him. She turned around and grabbed the guy's legs again, and the gym teacher grabbed her and pulled her off. And my friend said, dude, your sister was in a fight, why didn't you help her? Help her what? Throw him out the window? I can't be accessory to murder. I'm too pretty to go to jail. I'm too pretty. In 7th grade, 8th grade, I knew I'm too pretty to go to jail. That's, you know where you belong. That's what I'm saying. But we don't have consideration, you know. Like last week, I don't know if you guys know this, but last week in Wisconsin, in Hudson, they brought the Nina and the Pinta on shore. You guys know about that?
No.
They brought the Nina and the Pinta, the first 2 ships to come to America, on shore in Hudson, Wisconsin. Now, where's the consideration for that? Because I'm sure the Native Americans are not happy about that at all. They cannot be happy. And what's really fucked up is the guy who was on TV, the newscaster, said, it's just like the good old days. Fuck. The good old days for who? You mean the good old days when the Indians lost all their land? Those good old days, the good old days when the Asians had to work on the railroad, or when the blacks were taken from their land? What's good old days? There were no good old days until the 70s for black people. You know, for Asians, the good old days started in like 63. You know, for Mexicans, the good old days are coming. They're tired of hearing about this good old days bullshit. You know, I was at work not too long ago, and I bartend for weddings. And I was doing this wedding, and it was all white people. It was a Jewish wedding, and there was one black person in the room, and she had that Michael Jackson disease. No, she wasn't a pedophile. It wasn't that. She was worried. She had the vitiligo, the skin disease. She had skin disease. I said to the bitch, one black person in the room, and she turned white. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. But during that wedding, they played 60s music the whole time. And this guy was at the bar, and he said, I love this music. Don't you wish you was back in the 60s? I said, I don't know, man. My parents couldn't be married till 67, legally. It wasn't good old days for me. I don't know. So it worries me we don't have consideration for one another. I tell you probably one of the worst things about consideration. I went to a church not too long ago, and I was trying to be considerate of my friends. You know, they said, hey, we'll come to this church. Bring your family. It's a good church. Bring your family. He said, all right, bring my family. And we get to church, and it was a jack-leg church. You guys know what a jack-leg church is? That's a bullshit church. That's a really nice way of saying it was a bullshit church. Everything the preacher said reminded him of shit he did back in the day. You know, he talked about Mary Magdalene and prostitution. He said, yeah, like back when I was pimping, where's my bitches at, man? You know, he talked about Jesus had 12 disciples. I used to be in the gang too. West Side, you know, he was like that. You know? They had a drive-through collection plate. In case you didn't have time to come in, you could stop by the drive-through collection plate. And I was expecting a bucket of chicken to come out when I came through, but it didn't happen. And what surprised me was, when I went to the church, I was running late with my wife. We were running late. I said, honey, do your hair. We're running late. She said, I'm going to throw on a wig. You know, we can go. I said, no, do your hair. She said, no, I won't be late. She said, it's a black church. They're going to be late anyway. You know? I said it. I don't care. It's true. It's true. And we leave to go for the church, and we're in the pews, and we're watching the church, and midway through, or towards the end rather, they say the doors of the church are open, come down and pray with the church. So my wife went down to pray with the church. Now, I stayed upstairs with the kids. I'm going to stay up here. I don't trust this. This is bullshit. And she said, I'm going to go down and pray, because we need to pray. So I said, okay, go ahead, pray. The preacher came out, and he touched him on her head. He touched and he prayed, and she fell out. And then he walked to a man standing next to him, and he prayed, and he fell out. And then my wife was next. And I turned to my kids and said, listen, if mommy fall out and her wig fall off, we leaving. We're not standing for that shit. We going out the door. My daughter said, what about mommy? We meet in the parking lot, baby. She knew where the car is. We meet in the parking lot. He came to my wife and he prayed. He put his hand on my wife's head and he prayed. And she fell out. And her wig didn't fall off. Shame on you, sir, for waiting for it. That's not the punchline. That's not how the story is. She came back to the pews and we're all sitting and we leave. And on the way home, I'm thinking I have an upgrade. I have a spiritual upgrade. You know, I have a better wife when I walked in. This is not the same evil ass woman I left the house with, is what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. So my daughter breaks her silence. She said, Mommy, Daddy said, your wig fall off, we was going to leave you. Now, I'm not going to tell you what my wife said after that, because I'm a Christian. But I said, honey, I thought you was changed. I thought, you know, you were not the same person. You were lifted, the spiritual. She said, I wasn't lifted. I didn't change. I didn't fall out. That son of a bitch pushed me down. I can't make that shit up, y'all. It's the truth. I'll tell you one more before I get out of here. And this is another thing with my wife. She's more religious than I am. She prays a lot. We all pray. We were on our way home from a wedding. Brakes went out. And all the way home we're praying. Oh, Lord, get us home. Lord, get us home. Just praying. We get home fine. We're safe. The next day, my wife says, I have to run to the bank. I'm going to take the car. I said, honey, the brakes went out. What the hell? She said, well, me and the kids, we prayed. I said, see, that's how a lot of religious people die. You're going to go with some bad breaks and pray and hope you get there safe. Then you end up in a crash, end up in heaven talking to God and say, well, God, we prayed. We should have been safe. And God said, you know them damn brakes was bad when you got in the car. Go to hell. Thank you guys for some big will.